What is up, guys? Welcome to the ThinkComputers weekly tech podcast. And this is episode 205. And this will be our little, pre-CES 2020 podcast with me.
Yeah.
I have Ryan. You can see his pretty face there if you're on the live stream. But this week's episode is, of course, brought to you by Amazon. If you go to thinkcomputers.org/Amazon and happen to purchase something, that gives us a little kickback and, of course, keeps the podcast on going. First off, we were off for almost 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was a little while.
Yeah, so we had Christmas and then
New Year's this week. So just trying to get this last podcast in before we head out for CES.
Yeah, did you get any tech-related items for Christmas?
Not like directly for Christmas. I bought some stuff afterwards, but I'll save it for the end of the podcast to just kind of cover. Of course, I don't have it. It's already packed up, but I can still talk about it.
Oh, you got something. I didn't even know what you got, so I'm pretty excited. Yes, definitely stay tuned. We'll talk about that stuff at the end of the podcast. Yeah. Before we get into CES stuff, let's talk about some of the reviews. We have done some reviews in the past couple weeks because it's been a little crazy with family stuff and, of course, the holidays. But I reviewed a wireless gaming mouse, which I honestly didn't think I would like. And then I got it into review, and I was pretty surprised by it. It's HyperX's Pulsefire Dart. This is their wireless gaming mouse, and it uses 2.4 gigahertz RF connection. So when it comes to input lag, you really don't need to worry about it all that much. That's the biggest thing when it comes to wireless gaming mice is input lag. And if you're a super serious gamer, you obviously don't want that, but I really didn't experience any of that. But the mouse itself, I've been using lightweight mice. We talked about the Model O from Glorious PC Gaming Race, and then the Cooler Master MM710. And this is a heavier mouse, but it's very comfortable. And I think that's the thing here. This isn't a flashy mouse. This isn't a mouse that's going to when you look at it, you think it's amazing, but it all comes down to comfort. And this mouse specifically is it's so comfortable. And I think obviously that's one of the most important things when it comes to a gaming mouse is how comfortable it is. It has a kind of design made for a palm style or claw style grip, which I think is a lot of people. Not a ton of buttons on this. You have your two main buttons, the two side buttons here, and then your little DPI switch here. It's just a super comfortable mouse. That's one thing I wanted to point out. It's just how comfortable it is. On the sides, you have this sort of, rubberized texture grip here, which is extremely comfortable. It's on both sides of the mouse, so it looks really good.
Is that texture, are those bumps elevated, or are they like indentions?
They're indentions.
Okay.
In it. And it just feels really good. I actually this mouse because I used it up until today when I packed it for CES, actually. Okay. So like I said, the mouse is really great as far as comfort. Performance, it's using the PixArt sensor, their optical sensor, which is pretty much the standard when it comes to gaming mice these days. It uses Omron switches as well, so you don't have to worry about the switches breaking or anything like that. At the front here, you have a US Type-C connection, which I like to see. We're seeing a lot of kind of keyboards and mice get the Type-C, which one makes it easier to connect, and it's just a newer connection, so you'd like to see that. And then on the bottom, of course, you can turn it on or off if you want, and it charges. You can charge the mouse via the USB connection, but you can also charge it wirelessly, which is pretty nice as well. So when it comes to wireless, they actually have an accessory that they sent us that you can purchase extra, which is their Charge Play base, which basically it's a wireless Qi charger that can charge two devices at once. It also uses a USB Type-C connection in here. And I think that, like I said, it's really cool because you can charge.
I like that.
Yeah, you can charge your mouse and you can charge your phone on it, which is really nice. It's kind of like the perfect accessory for this mouse because, at least for me, when it comes to wireless mice, I always forget to charge them. But with this, it's sitting there. At the end of the day, I can just put my mouse right on it. I really like that about this as well. So it's a cool little accessory. It is a little expensive. I think most wireless chargers are pretty expensive. I think this one's $49. So that's on top of the $89 that what the mouse is.
I mean, the fact that it can do 2 devices at once is kind of nice. Stick your phone next to it, or whatever other device you need to charge up.
Yeah. So like I said, I think that's really cool. They also include this sort of like USB extension, and this is all about connectivity. So actually, HyperX says that you don't want the receiver, which is plugged in here, more than 8 inches away from your mouse pad. And I actually had it on the back of my PC, and I did experience some input lag. But once I moved it closer, you don't have any of that input lag. That's probably because it is an RF receiver. So definitely keep that in mind with this. But I actually really like this. They have their software, which works really well. I didn't have any issues there. It is an RGB mouse. RGB.
I wish they could have built that receiver into the charging pad or something, because it's just that extra cable there up on your desk.
Yeah, that is true. But they're 2 separate products. That's
true.
Yeah. But like I said, I really like this mouse. Like when it comes to mice, the biggest thing is comfort, and this is really comfort. Very comfortable. It worked flawlessly, like no real issues. I love the quality of the mouse. It feels good. And it's kind of a simple mouse. And for me, like I don't play like RTS or MOBA games. So, the 2 main buttons plus the 2 side buttons is perfect for me. And again, you can see like, I have my phone here now and my mouse is charging as well. It's just kind of like the perfect combo if you wanted to go for that. This mouse is a little expensive. Wireless gaming mice aren't cheap, I would say. This one's $89.99, which kind of is on the high end when it comes to gaming mice, I would say. But you are getting wireless charging with it if you have a Qi charger. And it does charge on other Qi chargers, not this one specifically. Like I have another one for my phone, and the mouse charged no problem on that as well. Cool. So I gave it a 9 out of 10. The only cons I would say were you can only go into the software to configure the mouse in wired mode. Like you can't do it wirelessly. And I know that that's a problem with a lot of wireless mice.
Not being able to do it wireless. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the input lag, if you do have the receiver connected further away, and then it does pick up fingerprints quite easily. I did notice that. Like most gaming mice have that problem. Especially when you have rubber and stuff like that on the mouse. But like I said, I gave it a 9 out of 10. We have links where you can go ahead and pick it up. I think it was a pretty good gaming mouse, and a really good wireless one. And I haven't reviewed a wireless one that I really liked that was worth like using full time. So like I said, this one's in my bag for CES because I'll be using it there. So that's how much I liked it. So
all right.
So yeah, and then you took a look at an AIO from SilverStone. It is their PF240 ARGB, which is their 240 millimeter AIO.
Yep. Yeah. So SilverStone's they're not new to AIOs or anything, but we're starting to see more and more RGB, especially the addressable type of stuff. So this kind of combines a 240 millimeter rad with a water block and some ARGB fans and a lighting controller as well. So we've got multiple components there. Obviously, it's going to be compatible with any current AMD or Intel systems. We happen to install it with an AMD system with an 1800X. The FPI is pretty good. You kind of scrolled past, which is fine. I think it was 19 fins per inch, which is kind of in the mid-range there. Performance-wise, it wasn't bad. We kind of are revamping this all-in-one, or at least my cooler system here. So we don't have a lot to compare it to yet, but compared to what we tested against, it performed
one thing well. I did notice about this when going through your review. I didn't want to interrupt you, but the installation, you don't even have to remove the AM4 bracket, which is nice.
It's awesome. And I started to. That was the sad thing. Like I'm one of those people that I probably should have looked at the instructions first, and I just started doing my thing because I'm so used to having to remove those. And I was like, oh wait, I don't have to do any of this, which is really awesome. The little clip slides onto the water block there. You have to install these little tabs and the screws and springs, but really it installs like any other AM3, AM4 clip type cooler that you're used to.
Like
AMD.
I was like going through the installation and I was like, whoa, that's it.
There's nothing to it.
You typically don't see clips like this on AIOs. You just don't.
Right.
So that just makes like, if you're installing on AM4, it has to make it super easy. I mean,
Oh yeah, and they're loose. The nice thing I liked about it is they don't use like a tension. A lot of times there's like a tension bar, a piece of metal that's kind of bent, so you have to use some force to get it to latch around, and then it uses the pressure of that metal to kind of bend and keep it in its place. With these screws, and they were loose enough where that wasn't an issue, and you don't feel like you're really pressing down on your your CPU or anything. So installation was super easy. Yeah, and right there we kind of got it shown. We installed it obviously on the top of our case. Right there we've got a list of our new, or at least my new cooling system. I kind of retired or shifted over my previous system with the 1800X and those associated components. That's kind of going to be my testing system there. But as you can see there, the idle temps and load temps between it and a tower cooler. Sorry. But noise-wise, the lighting looks great. It's real quiet, but there's multiple lighting options you get from it. You can either use the included controller that's got 3 buttons to change between the modes. You can set individual colors with the remote. You can set the speed at which the lights change and the brightness. Oh, nice. But you can also connect it to a compatible motherboard. So whether you're using the header on your motherboard or the controller, you've got multiple lighting options either way. So lighting looks pretty good.
I like how I wouldn't say I guess it's like a newer Silverstone logo, because that's not but I do like how the block actually looks on it. It's really cool looking.
Yeah, it looks good. I was pretty happy with how it turned out. It's got a little bit of a mirrored finish to it when it's turned off, but when it's on, it just kind of glows through. It's not like a infinity mirror or anything, but it looks nice.
Nice. And what's the price on this one?
Pricing is pretty affordable.
It's $100.
Yeah, $100, which isn't too bad when you consider you're getting a pretty, really in these 240 millimeter and these AIOs, there's not a ton of things you can do for, to be crazy until you start adding in your fan controllers and really cool lighting, things like that. There are some things, but for the most part, all these AIOs are going to be very similar. So $100 isn't bad, especially when you enter in the fact you've got the addressable RGBs on both the pump and the 2 fans. You've got the controller that's included and the option to connect it to a compatible motherboard. So the only thing that I put on my cons list was that there's no physical manual. Silverstone started to do this with a lot of their products, and I know a couple other companies have as well. And they've got a QR code on the box and in there so that you can get a digital copy. But sometimes it's nice to have that physical copy there just spread out, right next to you.
Like, I guess now, maybe like a couple years ago, I think it was a bigger deal. Mm-hmm. But at least for me, when you have a phone, everybody has a smartphone, I feel. But yeah, having a physical copy is always better, like especially when you're doing it, because you're not like staring at your phone. You know what I mean?
Well, then your screen like locks, right? And you got to go unlock the phone and get back to it. If I've got stuff in both hands, or I'm trying to, mount the radiator or whatever. So, it's not that big of a deal. But I also liked that they were using SATA power for the lighting and for the controller. We're so used to seeing that 4-pin Molex in there. And it's like, I got to plug in another cable to this power supply just for this one device.
You get a new product, right? Yep. And it's like new, like came out 2019, and it has a Molex connection. You're like, what is this? Why?
Yeah.
We've seen a lot of companies move to SATA power, and I think that's the smart way to go for sure.
Absolutely. But yeah, we gave it an 8 out of 10. Definitely worth checking out if you need a cooler.
Yeah. And then we'll move on to case mods, and we actually compiled a list of like the best case mods of 2019. And for me, I picked ones that really stood out to me for different reasons. And I'll just go through them because it's easier to do that way. So first we have Alex Banks of Pratex Design in his G-Skill Royal Crystal rig. This was done for Computex this year, and it's basically made to look like G-Skill Royal memory. I'll actually go to the page for it to give you guys a little bit more. But this was one of the coolest builds I've seen. Just the fabrication of the system itself. It's a completely custom design, custom chassis. All of the custom acrylic work on it is absolutely amazing. You know, all of this, this acrylic work right here is made to look like the actual crystal.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome.
On the G-Skill modules, because you can see it here, and then he's kind of copied it over here. Just a great build, and one of the coolest ones. Computex is really big for these builds, and this one was absolutely amazing. Definitely why it's made, the top list, because it's just such a good build. And like I said, the acrylic work to me is like, that's all, acrylic work that he did. And it's
when, like G-Skill had to be happy with this build, and like, you're proud to like show this off at these events, because you're hiring someone that's obviously has a history of good builds. But when you see something like this, you're like, all right, this was like well worth whatever to have this custom case and show off.
Yeah, so that's why it made the top for this year, because it's just absolutely amazing. So we have that one, and then we have Ali Abbas. I think that's how you say his name. Sorry if I said it wrong. He does a lot of these like really cool themed builds. And this one was actually the whole idea behind this build was to mod a keyboard, right? Mm-hmm. And he kind of took it a step further by installing a Raspberry Pi in here and having it basically look like a laptop from, I don't know, like the medieval times. You know what I mean?
It's showing that Vikings game, so maybe kind of aim towards that.
Yeah, sort of like a Viking. And here you can see the other build he did, like the full build of the full system over here. But this is a smaller one. I just think it's so cool that, like, I mean, if you look at it, it just, like, the craftsmanship.
So much detail.
And so much detail in this. And I don't think, we don't see a lot of, like, builds like this, Mm-hmm. Most people are kind of futuristic and everything like that. But this, I mean, he even did the mouse. It's just really, really cool. No, like, again, the whole idea was to mod a keyboard, and he took it so much further than that.
Is it really a keyboard anymore? What, you've got a screen and a system running on it?
Yeah, there's a Raspberry Pi in there with the screen and the speakers and just everything. Just the craftsmanship is amazing to me. And that's why it was one of my top builds this year, because, like, I mean, just look at it. It's so cool. Imagine to show up to a LAN party with this thing. I mean, that'd be kind of funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just amazing craftsmanship. So definitely check this one out. And then we have the Anodized, which is sort of like a test bench build by mods by Ben Q, and he's really known for his sort of crazy tubing, which looks out of place, but the way he does it just looks right.
Yep.
Because you would say, well, why are you making all these crazy bends? Like, what are you doing with all this? But he has a way of just making it look amazing. And this is on
look. Those fittings are pretty sweet as well.
Yeah, he just, like I said, he has a great way of doing this. And, like, again, you'd be like, why are you making all these crazy bends and things? But at least in my opinion, I think he does a really great job with it. Yeah. And this test bench is awesome. It's actually a water cooling test bench from, who is it? Barrow, which is a Chinese brand. But just, like I said, just great craftsmanship and just the way to make something that ordinarily would kind of just be like, this is a typical water cooling build, to make it really stand out. And,
yeah, I mean, it's more of a tool, right? Like that test bench, is just serves a purpose, and now it's like been modified to be more aesthetic and really, really cool.
Yeah. So that's why that one made the list. And then our final one is by Nessa, and it says AXR. This is done as part of the Cooler Master Case Mod World Series. And the thing that's really cool about this, and it's kind of, you really can't tell by the pictures, is that it has sensors in it which will open this top part up if the system gets too hot or anything like that. And it does it automatically, which I think is really cool. It's like really unique, something you don't typically see.
Yeah.
You know, obviously this is a pretty sick build in here as well. Dual GPUs, and there's the cabling is really great. The water cooling is great. Like everything about this build is awesome. But just the fact that it opens up automatically if it gets too hot, you know what I mean?
Well, it's got that cool display on the front, you know, showing off some of those thermals, it looks like. And yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, like I said, it's just like I said, it's you know, and like I said, it's just humidity and temperature, all that kind of stuff. Just like I said, a really awesome build, and the fact that it has the sensors and will open up and do all that kind of cool stuff.
It's kind of like that Inwin, what was it, 915 that had the little pop-up top.
Oh yeah, that was, yeah, I did review that. Yeah, so very cool. So definitely check out all of those. We have them in our best case mods of 2019. So
yeah, there's a few in there that I had some other favorites, but those are
yeah, we'll have to get together and make a list for next year. But we are running a contest. If you guys haven't heard yet, we are giving away a Thermaltake Tough Power PF1 ARGB 850 watt power supply, plus a set of Thermaltake's Ring Trio 12 fans. Those are 120 millimeter RGB fans. And all you have to do to enter is just go to the page, and there's a bunch of ways you can enter this. Super easy, just like all of our contests. And shout out to Thermaltake for sponsoring us on this one, but this will get you a brand new power supply that has ARGB, plus these fans that also have ARGB, and you can run them all through Thermaltake software. So nice little thing there. And there's already 5,000 entries. So definitely get your entry in. Still a lot of days left, 18 days left, you know, a lot of time to get in, but get in. It's completely random, so it doesn't really matter when you enter. But there's a bunch of different ways to enter the contest. And of course, the link to this is in our show notes. So if, you know, here's our show notes. If you want to enter, it is just right here. So pretty easy for you guys to find it there. And we'll move on to news. And the big news, or the upcoming thing, is AMD's Radeon RX 5600 XT. And it's basically been revealed that this card will have 2,304 stream processors. There was a page up for the ASRock Radeon RX 5600 XT Challenger, which said that it had that many stream processors. So by all accounts, this will be based off of the Navi 10 silicon. This is the same silicon that the RX 5700 series is based on. It is going to be cut down, obviously. Also, 6 gigabytes of GDDR6 across a 192-bit memory interface. And that memory won't be 14 gigabit, it'll be 12, so it's going to be slower. Just to fill that gap again between 5700 series and 5500 series, this will slot in nicely right there.
Going up against what, the 1660 Ti, I think?
Yeah, so it's going to compete pretty much against the 1660 Ti. I think it's going to be a good card. While we don't get super excited about these lower end cards, they fill a big part of the market. Definitely. And again, not everybody is, you know, even for the 5700, like not everybody has $400 for a graphics card. And it's good to see that you have choices down the line that will still give you good performance for what you want. And AMD is always good with price. So not sure on prices on these, but we can assume it's going to be competitive. And I'm excited to see this. Is one of the things that we'll talk about that we're kind of looking forward to seeing at CES.
Yeah. I mean, you kind of mentioned, like, we don't necessarily get super excited about these, but there's definitely a group of gamers and computer users that this is a very appealing upgrade for. Like at work the other day, actually yesterday, we had, you know, a guy he's like, hey, can I bring in my son's computer? If you guys can take a look at it, it's not powering on or anything. And you look at this gaming system, and he's got a new Corsair case, and he's got an SSD, but he's, running a older Intel chip and everything. And I think his graphics card was like a 700 series NVIDIA card. So there's still people out there, but on his desktop, he's got links to, some current games. And so, that there's a whole group out there of these people that are just, aren't, the enthusiasts that are on Reddit and, going to all these reviews that still want to play games. They just want a card that works. So this is definitely like, while we may not be super pumped about it, there's definitely a market for this type of card. So.
Yeah, and I think we'll talk about the next story here. I think AIBs realize that, like, AMD has a full lineup, and they're creating good cards. Because when you get down the line here, like, you don't see a whole lot of crazy designs. And the card that we're going to talk about that has been leaked is the Radeon, the ASRock Radeon RX 5600 XT Phantom Gaming OC. But if you look at it, I mean, it's their Phantom Gaming line. Like, you have RGB lighting on it, even looks like.
Yep.
So it looks like a good card. This obviously confirms that we will have 6 GB on this card, which is good.
Yeah, looking at that box.
Yeah. And if you look at it, though, the PCB is pretty short, and then you have the extension here for the cooling.
Mm-hmm.
And then one thing I always like is I do like to see like full cards for these smaller cards, just for the fact that if you buy one, you feel like you have like a beefy card, even though it's like the PCB is shorter, but you feel like you have that beefy card in your system. But I do like to see the RGB lighting, just for the fact that, like, those are, as you go down the product stack, when it comes to a lot of these companies, like, RGB lighting just gets cut out, right?
Yeah, you feel like you're losing out, right? You may not have that budget, and now you like feel even worse. Like, I don't even get RGBs on my video card, but it's nice to see them on this card.
Yeah. So yes, that's what the card looks like. Phantom Gaming is kind of like the mid tier when it comes to ASRock. You have Challenger, Phantom Gaming, then Tai Chi typically. Yep. So we hopefully will see that at CES. I'm excited to
that'd be cool
to see that as well. And then the entire 10th generation Comet Lake desktop processors were revealed, or leaked, I would say. So this is, the next generation of Intel desktop processors. We've been waiting for it for a while. And it's kind of interesting. I think the big interesting thing is that hyperthreading has been enabled across the board.
Yep.
So all of the chips will have hyperthreading. This is the first time Intel has ever done that, because typically Core i5, no hyperthreading. Core i7, hyperthreading. Now we have hyperthreading across the board. So the lineup will start here with a Core i9 10900K, 10 core 20 thread. The Core i7 10700K will be 8 core 16 thread. The i5 10600 will be 6 core 12 thread. And then, all the i5s are 6 core 12 thread. And then the i3s will be 4 core 8 thread. So i3 4 core 8 thread. Remember when 4 core 8 thread was a Core i7?
Yeah, my like 4790 over here is like, well, I'm a i7 4 core 8 thread.
Yeah, not that long ago either.
No. And those speeds too, right? Like the 10320 is a 3.8 part that can turbo up to 4.6. That's impressive.
Yeah. Most of these processors are 65 watts. You do have a 125 watt TDP on the K parts. And I think that you will need a good VRM for those parts if you plan to overclock, just because 125 is high, and we've seen them exceed that quite a lot, even on the 9900K. So
these have 40 lanes of PCI, which is nice as well.
Yeah, 40 platform PCIe lanes. And then the memory was increased as well. Like the default memory has been increased to dual channel DDR4 2933. So you will get more memory support out of that. So yeah, like, it's hard to get excited about this just for the fact you hopefully know, we hopefully think that 10 nanometer is around the corner. But it's good to see Intel finally, like, again, hyper-threading across the board. You're getting 10 cores, 20 threads in the top part, which we would never have seen if AMD didn't do anything, I don't think.
Sure.
So these, again, we think will launch at CES. That's kind of the rumor going around. So yeah, I just can't get excited about it. I don't know if you're the same way.
No, yeah, I kind of feel the same way, but
yeah, it's just like
it's the coin, is on the other side, right? It used to be not really excited about AMD stuff, and kind of feeling that way about Intel now.
Yeah. So with these new processors will be a new socket. Not surprised at this one.
Nope.
But the schematics for the socket were released, and it does look like it will be cooler compatible. So if you have a cooler that you used on 1151 or 1150, it will be cooler compatible. So you don't have to buy a brand new CPU cooler if you bought a nice one for your system before. They do need the more. Apparently, they need more pins. I don't know what the reason is. We've seen where Intel says they needed more pins, and then Asus said they didn't, and Asus proved that they didn't. So, just to buy more motherboards. But the LGA 1200 socket will be the new socket. It appears that it will be cooler compatible. So if you have a nice AIO or something, it will fit. And all the previous AIOs for Intel 1151 will fit this new socket. So you don't have to worry about, oh crap, I got to buy a new cooler.
That's like the silver lining for me of this socket is that the coolers are compatible.
Yeah. So that's good. That's one good thing about this. If you were thinking about upgrading, is that they will be compatible. So,
right.
Yeah. But back to the AMD side, and here's something that we kind of expected because there was a gap in the Threadripper 3 processors. It initially launched with the 3960X and a 3970X, and then they said we will have a 3990X in the future. So that leaves out a 3980X, and the 3960X is 24 core, the 3970X is 32 core, and the 3990X is 64 cores. So between 32 and 64, there's a gap, pretty big gap. So the Threadripper 3980X will be 48 cores, which still blows my mind because this
96 thread. Yeah,
this is not a server part. This is a high-end desktop part. This is not a server part. So that was revealed that it is there. We don't know when it will be released. We don't know speeds or anything like that. Both the 3990X and 3980X are supposed to launch sometime in 2020. We might see them at CES. I don't know. But yeah,
it's exciting. Like you said, these aren't server parts. They're high end.
What this does too is, if you think about it, if this will be under $3,000, it basically makes Intel's 3175X completely obsolete in terms of performance and value. Like, it's just that whole big thing about we have this part, blah, blah, blah. And there's only 3 motherboards that you can get that support it. But that will be completely obsolete if they target that price. So it's something to think about as well. But yeah, that's just crazy amount of cores. I mean, that's just wild to me. But that's something exciting. Hopefully we see one at CES. I'll be pretty excited to see that as well. And talking about CES and talking about companies branching off, we've seen the one that rings the most bells. Well, I guess Corsair and Gigabyte. They sell everything. You can
just about, you can almost build a.
And so many of these companies, even like Asus, like they make power supplies now. Like everybody's kind of branching off and selling everything, which kind of makes sense because they have these iconic gaming brands and you're making more money for selling more things.
Yeah.
So the next company to do it, it appears, is going to be AData. And they're going to start selling ADATA. We know for memory and storage devices, they make great SSDs and things like that. They're going to sell monitors, laptops, and gaming PCs. So this is a picture of what apparently was leaked of one of their gaming PCs that they're going to have. It's all going to be under their XPG brand. That is their gaming brand.
Yep.
So I don't know. I can't say this is a bad thing for ADATA.
No, it's a pretty big shift, I think, away from what they've offered previously. And I almost it's like, so who are they having make these for them? Almost is what it feels like, just because they're so outside of what their typical lineup is. But
yeah,
it'll be interesting.
Somebody has to make these because I don't know who's making them. I think to expand their XPG line, they could have done some other stuff, maybe. Monitors is a tough one because there's a quality issues when it comes to monitors. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
only got, select panel makers, and which, like with most panels anyways, and monitors from whoever it is, Asus, Acer, whoever, they're all very similar, pretty much the same hardware in them. So
so it's the monitors thing, but they're going to have a gaming laptop and a gaming PC, which will be a 5-liter mini PC, which I'm actually kind of a fan of those, honestly.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
MSI is going to have one that I've seen. It looks pretty awesome, actually. But yeah, so I think it's cool. We'll obviously see this at CES, I assume. Mm-hmm. So it's something to look forward to as well. I think it just makes sense for them, to kind of branch off. The monitor thing will be like, you have to see it to see if it's good or not. Who's making the panel and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
But I think it's overall, it's a good move. Especially
looks like a thick laptop too. Just looking at the base there,
it does look pretty thick. I mean, I'm sure it's going to be like a game. It's a gaming. This is the 15. It's a 15.6-inch laptop, 1080p IPS display, Core i9 CPU. It doesn't say what GPU's in there, but I'm guessing it's a like a Geforce GPU in there. So so like I said, very interesting. We will obviously let you guys know, because we should be, we'll be meeting with them at CES this upcoming week. And going to gaming. This was a pretty crazy year for gaming, I would say. Lots of different stuff going on, and Steam released their top selling games of 2019 list. And they have it set into tiers. They did the same thing last year. Mm-hmm. And some of the things that are really interesting to see on this, actually, if I could bring up the page, at the page link, because it's just easier if I do it that way. So their top sellers, the top tier is Platinum. And this is games that not only are the game sales, but this also includes in-game. And some of the things like Warframe, which is a free game.
Right.
All of the in-game items that are being bought must be a lot.
It's pretty impressive for free games, There's a lot of, I don't want to say older games, but games have been out for quite a while, and they're still their top sell. GTA 5, PUBG.
GTA 5 is like still one of the best games ever made.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's still $30, and people are still buying it to be a platinum seller. Just like CS:GO. Everybody's buying skins and things in there. PUBG's on there. Destiny 2 is on there as well. Warframe, like I said. And then going under gold, you have things like Rocket League. It's good to see the Star Wars on there.
Mm-hmm.
Jedi Fallen Order, which I've played, and that's such a good game. I might play that tonight before I go to sleep, actually. That's good to see that on there. The Halo Master Chief Collection is on there, which I think a lot of people are having those. All those games
play those,
which I thought I was going to pick up, but I just never did. I might, And under Silver, City Skylines, which I think is so amazing.
I've got that, and I haven't played it. I need to spend some time.
The city I have is so huge. Like at the time, I don't know what GPU I have, but I had like a really nice GPU, and it would like
crush it.
My system would be chugging because my city was so big in that. But you also have like TF2 on there, and Borderlands 2, which has been out, Red Dead Redemption 2. You have funny things like Euro Truck Simulator. And then under bronze, you have just a lot of different type of games in there. So that is that. And then one thing I also wanted to do was like the top new releases. Red Dead Redemption, Devil May Cry 2, Star Wars, the Halo Master Chief Collection. So some of these new games are really doing well, as you know, in there too. And then our last story about games has to do with Grand Theft Auto 6. Everybody wants a new Grand Theft Auto. You can see how popular we just talked about Grand Theft Auto 5. Still one of the best games. Like, I could go back in and play it. It's just that good of a game. Grand Theft Auto 6 is rumored for fall 2021. And
it's still so far away, but
that's
pretty cool.
It's interesting that it won't make the launch of the new Xbox in PlayStation 5. That would be a great launch title, I feel.
You could sell so many consoles if you were launching that game at the same time.
Yeah. But I think that everybody is so excited for this. It is a far ways away, obviously.
Yep. I mean, I guess I should install 5 again and actually beat it. Like, I get into it and then I stop, and then I got it for PC and I played for a while and stopped, but enjoyed it.
I think they have a lot to live up to on this one, right? And they have a lot to live up to as far as all the problems that happened with Red Dead Redemption 2 and their launcher and all that. Like, it's a lot to live up to, I think. But I think it will be, when it comes out, one of the best-selling games when it does come out.
Definitely.
But that is our news for the week. Space Ghost in the chat, he said he's going to he can't wait to see AMD at CES 2020, and he's going to upgrade his graphics card to an RX 5600 XT when they become available, which we hope will be at CES.
And I would definitely take a look at reviews, make sure that that's it lives up to what it what the numbers look like, right? You've got the 5500, you've got the 5700 series. I'd hold off and watch the reviews. I think it'll be fine, but I always recommend being on that cutting edge or bleeding edge.
Pre-order.
Don't pre-order stuff, because if for some reason there's something wrong with the series or whatever, you don't want to be out your money and have the hassle of trying to return something or whatever. But 5600 series looks cool too.
So we always talk about we have coming up next week. I've had the chance to play with a new Corsair product that's going to be launching at CES. I can't tell you much about it, except for it's sitting in front of me, so that should give you an idea of what it might be. But that's we'll have that for you next week. And of course, next week is CES 2020. We want to talk about what we're excited for, what we expect to see at the show. Consumer Electronics Show, if you guys don't know, that's basically where all the companies show off all of their products they're going to be releasing throughout the year. And a lot of times it's products that won't be releasing till the end of the year. So we get to see them early, and we get to tell you guys a little bit about them. And actually, I have this guy, which is the Patriots VPR 100, which is their RGB M.2 drive that we saw last year at CES, and it literally just came out now. So it's really cool to see stuff at the show and get a kind of preview of what to expect throughout the year. I listed some of the stuff that we kind of expect to see, or that we might see. One we already talked about with it, which is Intel's 10th generation desktop processors. For me, I'm again not super excited, but it will be. The thing I'm most excited about that is the new Z490. Z490 motherboards. Z490. I'm excited for the motherboards and stuff. I'm trying to
think of what I'm kind of pumped about. Maybe the 2080 Ti Super kind of,
so that's cool something that had been rumored as well. Is that NVIDIA, they have to do something against AMD in the video, because again, we expect the RX 5600 XT to be unveiled. NVIDIA needs to do something. Their bottom lineup is already out. They're not going to come up with another graphics card within $20 of another one, we would hope. So the Geforce R-Tx 2080 Ti Super that's the only super card that hasn't been put out. It's expected that it might cannibalize the Titan in some way or form. But that's something that's kind of expected. So we are meeting with NVIDIA. If they have it, we'll let you guys know about that. And then I did see this story the other day that AMD could unveil the Zen 3 microarchitecture at the show.
Okay.
I don't know if that's going to happen. It could. They could talk about it a little bit more on the higher end type of stuff, not on the desktop side of it.
Yeah, they might I could see them making mention, but I don't think we're going to get any real substantial information.
Yeah, it's usually just doesn't happen that way. What else? I mean, I'm really excited. Honestly, one thing I do get super excited for when it comes to CES is cases. Like, I love seeing cases.
You took it from me. I was going to say I'm excited to see some of the case vendors and what they've got.
Yeah. And then I also do get excited for keyboards because we don't see enough change in keyboards, I feel. And I think there has been a lot of competition when it comes to that. Like, in the keyboard realm, we see a lot of these like kind of unknown companies come out with really good keyboards. And I think that when it comes to keyboards, like, companies kind of catch up. Like, we saw the low profile ones last year from Cooler Master. Everybody was super excited about those, and we got those into review, and they were awesome. And I think there's things like, a lot of the aftermarket stuff you can buy for keyboards are going to become more standard on a lot of these keyboards. So I'm excited to see that.
One thing I saw on social, Elgato was kind of teasing some stuff. So, I really like the Stream Deck that I've got. I think their lighting panels are great. They've got, a couple other items. People are kind of maybe anticipating maybe a webcam from them, right? Because almost everybody's using like the Logitech C920 or something similar, right? So
I think it's right here. I don't know.
Yeah, I've got a C920 here. So I'm really hoping maybe they'll have a webcam or something similar. Corsair obviously bought Elgato a year or two ago. They've kind of left them alone and let them do their thing, which I think is great. So seeing some new stuff from them is kind of would be pretty cool too.
Yeah, and like I said, I am a huge fan of the mini PC thing, and I think we'll definitely see some from Zotac. MSI is going to have a really cool one. I will see some other stuff. I'm just excited to see everybody as well. I mean, all of our friends in the industry that we never really get to see, we'll see in CES. And definitely follow us on social media. We actually have a dedicated CES 2020 page, which will have all of our content up and everything like that. It's just to get to it on the site. It's just, you'll see the thing that says CES 2020. It has all of our social media, and then coverage that will come out of the show and everything related to CES will be on this page. So definitely stay tuned for everything that we have coming. And one thing that I forgot to mention that we did do this week, or I did, is we did do a collab video with our friends over at eTechnics, Andy, and we were in their Best Tech of 2019 video. I think I'm trying to find where I'm at in it.
You're kind of in the middle, yeah.
Yeah, I'm like right here. That's a bad
and I thought this was a really cool, video here. You get so used to seeing some of the bigger names, Jay and Kyle, Paul, all those guys. But Andy over at eTechnics kind of brought in some of the, other channels that are putting out great content and brought everybody together. You got BPS Customs, Andy, you've got Craft Computing. Who else was on there? Greg from used to be, I don't know if it's still Salazar Studios.
Yeah, Salazar Studios. It used to be Science Studio.
Science Studio, yeah. And who else was on there? Tech Yes City. So, yeah, I thought it was a really great video.
Yeah, so Andy asked me to talk about my favorite tech of the year, and we did our favorite tech video, and he asked me to do processors. And obviously, this year, AMD Ryzen 3000 series, and I talked about like the high end, like the 3900X if you're going high end, but if you're going kind of low end, the Ryzen 5 3600X is such a great processor. It's $200. It's a great starting point for everything. And I also talked about that both processors come with coolers, so you don't have to spend extra money on a cooler. But we will link, I'll add this video because I forgot to put in the show notes. I'll add it in the show notes if you guys want to check it out. It's over on the eTechnics YouTube page, but definitely go ahead and check it out. It was really fun to do and everything like that.
When you mentioned our best of 2019 as well, we haven't podcasted since releasing that. So
we did. Man. I assume I could bring that up here.
We each did like our top 3 top review items, so Bob covered his top 3. I've got my top 3 in there. And I think it was a good mix of products. I don't know if you want to pop that up there if you've got it going.
I will bring it up here in 1 second.
But my 3 were the headset I'm using, which is the Corsair Virtuoso RGB wireless SE gaming headset. That's a lot of...
Yeah,
it's a big name, but I've really enjoyed this headset. I also chose the HyperX Quadcast microphone. Just kind of a really cool product there with some of the the light up feature that it has. So when it's on, it's got the tap to mute function, the multiple polar patterns. That was really nice. And then my number 1 product was the InWin 909 case, or I'm sorry, 905 case. So yeah,
my 3 in the video were of course Ryzen 9 3900X. That's again like the top thing that came out this year. The ASRock RX 5700 XT Tai Chi X OC Plus. I think I got that name right. That is ASRock's Tai Chi 5700 XT. I really thought that was so cool because I'll see if I can get it to it in the video. If you look at the back of it, look at that. And this is, cool. You have to think that ASRock is a company who's only been making graphics cards when this came out for like a year and a half. And to come out with one, at least in my opinion, one of the best RX 5700 XTs that looked amazing, performed amazing. And I think that the RX 5700 XT is one of the best graphics cards to come out just for the fact that it gives you 1440p performance for $400. It's just solid at that. Like that's what you want it for. That's the card. $400. And the Tai Chi card is absolutely amazing. And then I don't have it here because I'm reviewing another mouse, but it's up there, but I don't want to reach it. Is the Model O is a late kind of entry into it for me, but lightweight gaming mice. I talked about it multiple times that I wasn't into them. They weren't my thing, but the Model O from Glorious PC Gaming Race is an amazing mouse. It's super lightweight. I absolutely love it. And yeah, I was really surprised by it, but it is like my daily driver. I just don't have it here because I'm reviewing another mouse, but those were my 3. So we have that video for you guys as well. It's on our YouTube channel. If you're watching the live stream, you can of course see it. But yeah, that was really cool to do as well. It was kind of cool to pick out, and we did it for our favorite products that we reviewed. So there might be stuff that you think's better, but if we didn't get a chance to review it, we couldn't put it in the video.
Right.
But yeah, let's talk about this past week. And did you do anything? Or the past 2 weeks really?
2 weeks, really, yeah. We kind of talked at the beginning. For Christmas, I didn't really get any tech items, but I spent some money after Christmas. I bought, because I last spring, I bought the Canon M50 mirrorless camera from them. It obviously uses their EF-M lens system. But I ended up picking up the EF EOS M adapter, so I can now use their standard EF lenses. And I also picked up a 50 millimeter lens to use with that adapter. So I've been playing with that a little bit. I picked that up a couple days after Christmas. I got the lens used, and then the adapter was on sale on Amazon. So I picked those up for like $170, I think, total.
Nice.
Between the two, whereas I was going to buy, I had a lens from Canon on my wish list for the EF-M series, and it was $200. So I've got some, adaptability with my lenses. I can go with the either size now, and a new lens for less than I was going to pay for just a single lens. So
nice. Have you been able to take any shots with it? Like,
I've taken some. I haven't spent a ton of time with it. Getting back to work this week was, just kind of catching up on some things. So I haven't spent a ton of time with it. I also bought some more batteries and like just stuff to prep for next week. So
I also got a new lens. I don't know when I got it. Maybe a couple of weeks ago. I don't remember. But I got a new lens which we'll be using at CES.
Got the screen too.
I got so my camera doesn't have a pop-out screen, so I got a screen that because we'll be shooting a lot of us, and we want to be able to see us in frames. We don't have to go back and forth each time. But besides that, just like, and I went away for New Year's. My girlfriend and I went to the middle of nowhere, which was nice. Just this really cool loft above a winery, which was awesome.
That's cool.
We love doing Airbnb stuff, so we did that. So I'm just getting back, and then we're leaving, literally packing tonight and leaving for Vegas tomorrow. And we have an event tomorrow night, which I'll be. And I'm sick. I don't know if you guys have noticed throughout this entire podcast. So it's kind of been a kind of whirlwind because you have all of the family stuff throughout the holidays, and then like I said, I went away for New Year's, and all this stuff I want to get done content wise before the end of the year, and then before CES, and then going away, coming back. Like I just got my hair cut today. I have to like leave tomorrow morning, so I'm not even gonna get a whole lot of sleep tonight. So it's been a whirlwind, but we're really excited for CES. Again, guys, thinkcomputers.org/CES 2020. That's where you'll find everything. Definitely follow us on social media, especially Instagram, because we'll be having Instagram stories for each company that we visit. At least that's my plan. Hopefully we follow through with that. But I think, having an Instagram story for each company will be really cool, and we'll be able to see stuff before we can even put out the video. So like as soon as we can see it, you guys will get to see it as well. So follow us on Instagram, Twitter, everything. But I think that's pretty much it. Anything else you want to talk about?
I don't think so. I got to do the same thing. Got to get packed up. I've got a floor full of like gear next to me that I got to figure out where it's going. And
Oh, and for, we did do this podcast late because it is Saturday here.
Right.
The next one will not be a live stream because we'll be at CES and our internet's horrible. But we will be recording a podcast at the end of the week, kind of going over what we saw and things like that. And so that will probably be on Friday of this upcoming week. So Thursday or Friday, one of those 2 days, we'll probably be doing that. So definitely stay tuned for that as well if you want to get, up to date on CES, because we're not going to be able to put out all the content within next week. It's just not feasible. But if you are listening to the podcast, it will be audio version, but it will give you pretty much everything that we saw. So definitely stay tuned for that. And then again, guys, if you are listening or are on YouTube, if you want to subscribe to us on, audio, it's just Think Computers, all one word, in your favorite podcasting app or software. And we have our full show notes page, which is listed in the description here. So if there's anything that we talked about you want to get more information on, we will have that linked as well. So until next week, we'll catch you guys later.